Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today, I'm very happy to bring on a returning guest, Nina the Mystic. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Nina was born and raised in Norway in Trondheim, but moved to Canada as a young adult to be with family. She now lives in BC, Canada, and has 2 sons and 3 grandchildren. While growing up, Nina had several spiritual experiences. She experienced sleep paralysis for the first 42 years of her life, but it disappeared when she left Christianity and started to study the occult. Nina had a profound experience as a 7-year-old child. And she wants to talk about it with you today, something that is still so vivid and no one can explain exactly what happened. Please leave us a comment as to what you think below. Nina is retired from her day job and now does YouTube videos and private sessions for those who seek spiritual advice and guidance. See her website below for more information. She works as a mystic, but spends a lot of time learning the truth and being a truth seeker, combining all her knowledge to teach and grow with others, which has become a passion for her. Today, we explore Nina's amazing life and delve into her personal experiences, sleep paralysis, and possible ET visitation. All of the links are featured below in the description. Please do check us out, subscribe to our channels, leave us a comment, and please do like my videos and share my content with your friends. And for those of you on YouTube, I'm happy to say that channel memberships are also available, and you can take advantage of my perks and help to support my channel. So without further ado, I'll bring on Nina. Hi, Nina.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. Sorry, I had to cough. I had a frog in my throat.
No worries.
Uh,
It happens.
yeah, so I'm so glad to have you back. And of course, I was recently on your show talking about my book, and I really enjoyed our visit. So I'm really happy to have you on my show, and I want people to hear about your experiences. And it's interesting. A lot of people are really afraid of the occult, and you and I, what we have in common is we both ended up with better life experiences and outcomes when we left Christianity. So when you started to delve into the occult, then your sleep paralysis stopped happening and you started understanding your reality better. When I stopped going to church or left religion actually altogether, well, my life just started to improve. So I'm not trying to tell people out there that religion is bad or you should leave your religion. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for some of us, we're not and but it's no disrespect to religion.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say a quick hi to Tony Ann. Tony Ann is in on the live chat today. Nice to see you. And we've got Share the Truth is also here with us today. Welcome, welcome. So I don't know where you want to get started. I guess maybe Nina, you could tell us a little bit about your transition from Christianity to the occult, how that happened for you, and what your sleep paralysis was like before it went away, and then of course, if you want to get into that experience that happened to you when you were 7 years old, we could talk about that too. So I don't want to overwhelm you with questions. You just go wherever you need to go. I'm just thrilled to bits that you're here.
Yeah, so I can remember being spiritually attacked from a young age. I think I was around 3.5 or 4. I think the first time that I can kind of recall an incident happening. And I remember very vividly like a cold hand and all this kind of stuff. And I went to my dad and told him about it. And he just had this kind of weird look on his face. He didn't really know what to say. And so I learned early on that, you know, you probably shouldn't talk about this. Other people aren't really as receptive to this kind of stuff. So I just kind of learned to just keep it to myself. Honestly, it was happening, sleep paralysis, probably about 4 or 5 times a week, my
Uh,
whole entire life. Yeah. Like, so it just became a normal thing for me. And I would just get up in the morning, pretend that that didn't happen, and just go about my day. I never talked about it. And it wasn't until later in life, once the kids were teenagers and I had more time on my hands, essentially. We also had the computer available now, where we can Google. We didn't have that prior to this. So that's another reason why I think a lot of people weren't talking about it, because it just wasn't, there was no information out there about this. And so I started
mhm.
around some of my friends, like, do you guys experience any of this? And they're like, no, nobody had experienced any of it. So I thought, oh, okay, all right. And I kind of, again, just kind of went about my day. And it wasn't until like a major incident happened when I was like 42, where I had an actual being come in and was laying right next to me, like spooning me in bed. And
Wow.
yeah, this was beyond just the sleep paralysis now. So I'm completely conscious. I can feel this being laying next to me. And I sleep on my side with one hand over, when you're sleeping on your side, like sort of one hand over, because I could never sleep on my stomach. So even as a little child, as soon as I would lay down in bed, sometimes I'm not even asleep yet, they would just attack me. It's right in the solar plexus is where they will start to attack you. And so I always would be up in a fetal position on my side to try and cover up my stomach. And so even today, I still sleep that way. But yeah, I had my hand over and I could feel his hand or whatever it was, joining my hand. Like it was almost like you would almost think it was a romantic thing, but not really, because I'm paralyzed,
Mhm.
of course. Now, the only thing I was able to do was kind of lift up that one finger, give it the BC salute there. Um, that seemed to help. He kind of buggered off after that. But that was like a major, full on manifestation of a being. And that was what catapulted me. I'm like, you know what? That's it. I got to figure out what is going on here. And that's when I went
Yeah.
on the computer, and started researching about, demons attacking at night, and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of where it started. And sure enough, once I got on that, but actually backtrack a little bit. So because I'd gone through this my whole life, the last probably couple of years or whatever, I was almost trying to embrace it a little bit, to try to have a little bit of fun with it, and to try to bring humor into it. And I found if I just stood in my power and laughed, so even though I was under paralysis at the time, I could still kind of try to laugh at it. That seemed
Mhm.
to really help as well. Laughter, they can't stand it. It must be a different frequency. They're not into
Yep.
that. And it's also showing them that you are not afraid and that you're standing in your power. And I found that really helped as well. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Can we back up just a little bit for people out there who are listening, who are not familiar with sleep paralysis? So what would happen to you? What was that typically like, and at what age did that start for you?
Like I said, I can remember it all the way back from like 3.5. It probably was happening from the day I was born. I just don't remember the first 3 years or so,
Mhm.
But yeah, you just you wake up, you're completely paralyzed. You can't move, you can't talk. You'll try to scream, but nothing's coming out. You're just completely paralyzed in fear, and you can feel somebody there. Something is there. Quite often there'll be heaviness on your chest, and this is where the old hag thing comes from. Back in the
Mhm.
day, they used to think that that was an old hag that was giving you nightmares or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Um, I do believe that there are entities that are coming in to get your attention. That's kind of what I've taken away from it, is that they were
Mhm.
trying to get my attention to wake up, to start researching and figuring things out. And because as soon as I did, it kind of disappeared. I haven't had a single incident since then. So um, yeah, because the spirit, the science community, of course, will have some kind of scientific reasoning behind it.
Mhm.
But I believe that there are entities that are coming in. That was my feeling anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, when you go to when science tries to give you a logical explanation, they'll say, oh, it's the chemical composition of your brain because you're between awake and sleep. And they try to rationalize it, but I find it doesn't really fit. When you've been through it, it doesn't really fit. I used to have that when I was a young child, like 4 or 5 years old. But I had, this is going to sound really weird, but this is how it happened for me. Then I had a fiery griffin show up. So it was like a griffin. I didn't know what a griffin was until I was in my 20s and I saw a picture in a book. But back then it had the head of an eagle, the wings of an eagle, the body of a lion, and it was all made up of flames.
Hmm.
And it let me know that it was here to protect me and that nothing would harm me when it was there. And so every time I started to be in that frozen, fearful state, it would come and reassure me, and I felt safe again. So that's sort of how it went for me. But yours went on for many, many years. And is this tied into what happened to you when you were 7, or is that a completely
That
different
is a
event?
completely different incident. But I have to tell you, because like as an adult, as I was having this, in my 30s, and well into my 40s there, I remember one time I went to Vegas with a friend of mine. And
Mhm.
I got to say, Vegas, there's a whole different energy about that place. There's a lot of spiritual activity going on in Vegas.
Mhm.
Anyways, I remember going to bed and a little personal disclaimer here. Like usually I smoke marijuana before I go to bed, in the
Mhm.
evening. Well, I'm
Mhm.
in Vegas. There was no marijuana there. They didn't have dispensaries back in these days. So I didn't have any marijuana. As a matter of fact, I was very much awake. They also pump
Mhm.
oxygen into the casinos as well. So I'm
Yep.
like really awake, and she's already asleep because she took some allergy medicine. So she's already passed out. So I went to bed and I'm completely wide awake. And I started seeing these things swirling around up in the ceiling. I was getting the attacks already. So they were attacking me before I even went to sleep. And
Mhm.
they paralyzed me while I was still awake. And I was trying to, scream out to my friend there, but of course nothing was coming out. And so it's not just the in between a state that they talk about there, because like I said, I've had at times where I'm
Yeah.
fully awake.
Yeah.
And so
I totally believe you. I've had similar experiences myself. And yeah, and it's interesting that I had my first and only encounter with an angel when I was 41. So it's interesting. For you it was 42. You went through a transition. For me it was 41. So
mhm.
yeah, sleep paralysis is a real thing. And I also agree with you. I think it's tied into occult um, goings on. I don't know if you want to call them demons or spirit creatures or interdimensionals or transdimensionals. I'm sure there's a lot of overlap, but they do tend to persecute those of us who are energetically sensitive. But what I love about your experience is you talking about how you brought humor into it, and they don't like that chases them away. I agree. That's the other thing. I think it might overlap with the whole concept of the archons, that they say feed off of our fear, feed off of our negative energy. And
Mhm.
when we have a resolute attitude, but also have a sense of humor, that's not tasty for them. They'll move on to something else. I don't know. Would you agree with that, Nina?
Absolutely. It's kind of like the bully in the schoolyard.
Mm-hmm.
All they want to see is you being fearful, you giving in,
Mm-hmm.
giving up your power, right? And that's what gives the bully its power. Now, if you stand
Mm-hmm.
up to him, you laugh at him, he wouldn't know what to do. He'll just eventually just go away, because now all of a sudden you got power over him. So, I think these spiritual beings are the same way kind of thing. They'll pick
Mm-hmm.
on those who are fearful. And I noticed somebody mentioned Jesus, back in my Christian days, of course, that may have come out, and that does not work at all. If anything, it makes it worse, I found.
Mm-hmm.
The Jesus name means nothing, as far as what I could tell. And Yeah, so that didn't help, unfortunately, if for those who might be still stuck in religion. Maybe you found that too, that you are praying, you are calling out, but nothing's happening. It's, to me, it felt like, Elvis had left the building. Whoever that God is in that religion, I don't feel that being around, to be honest.
Mhm.
I don't think
Mhm.
he's around anymore. But and also the word occult. A lot of people, are fearful of that name. All that means is hidden knowledge, is trying
Mhm.
to recover hidden knowledge. That's all that is.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, religion and the church has demonized, literally, um, all of that, because they don't want you knowing any of that. That is hidden for a reason. That's the church that did that in the first place. It used to be common knowledge, but now it's
Mhm.
occult and scary, and you're not supposed to touch that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I had that all my life, Nina. When I went to try to find out what was going on for me with paranormal experiences, I was told one of two things. Either I was told, don't tell people that, they're going to think you're crazy and have nothing to do with you, or that you're evil, you're inviting demons in. And actually the opposite for me. The religions that I was involved in, first of all, they had a ton of hypocrisy and evil going on, behind
mhm,
closed doors. But
mhm,
besides that, it wasn't until I completely was done with religion that I started opening up spiritually and having spiritual experiences. And I agree with you. Occult just means hidden. And
mhm,
I think that the powers that be, which include the governments, the churches, the economic system, on and on and on it goes. They do not want us to come into our power. But Nina, I think it's time, really. I do.
mhm. Yeah, it really feels like the feminine energy, the goddess, who
Mm-hmm.
has been completely left out and forgotten as far as the church is concerned, is coming back. So that's very exciting. It's been very much unbalanced here for the last, I don't
Yep.
know, 3,000 years or whatever it's been.
Yep.
Um, so whoever this God is, from the Christian and the Jewish, I guess, or any other Abrahamic,
Mm-hmm.
obviously has some mama issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that would be good if there can be some healing there and some restoration and get balance back here with the male and the feminine. You know what I mean? So
Oh, I
yeah,
do. I do.
yeah.
I totally do. From my understanding, and I'm not an expert, so please don't anybody out there think that I'm preaching to any of you. I don't mean it that way. But from my understanding, we used to have more of a matriarchal or mother leaning, and then the patriarchy came in and took over. And it wasn't just the divine masculine, it was actually a perversion or a distorted sense of the masculine. And then we ended up with centuries and centuries of wars and all this other stuff. And, even in our school system and our education system, it's very left brained, which governs the right side of our body, which is the male side. So
Hmm.
even if you go to Eastern metaphysical practices, the left side of the body is governed by your female energy. The right side of your body is governed by your male. There's supposed to be a balance of yin and yang. That's really well known and well accepted. The
Hmm.
same thing with your chakra systems. But in our Western civilization, we're supposed to be this male dominated, so-called logical, scientific, mathematical way of thinking and being. And I think that now the divine feminine is coming back. So now we're finding our spirituality, the gifts in nature, creativity, because let's face it, the patriarchy way of dominating lacks empathy. And then they'll go, well, yeah, but you have to be logical. Well, love is not logical. Love is completely not logical and absolutely essential for us to be balanced, healthy human beings. And that is the divine feminine, bringing in the love, the empathy, the creativity.
Hmm.
And so I'm always on a soapbox about that. Um, But I don't know. Do you have any more thoughts about the divine feminine and the divine masculine, Nina?
Yeah, it's, it does feel like we are shifting into a different timeline, maybe, or a different
Yeah.
era. They talk about in a lot of different religions, especially the Eastern philosophy, the Kali Yuga, and, all these
Hmm.
yugas, and it does feel like we are kind of shifting into something new. So even though it feels really intense right now, just in the world, and because everything reflects, as above, so below, and all of that kind of stuff, it does. We can feel it. There is a changing of the guard, and it feels kind of nervous, because we just don't know exactly what is going to happen. But I do believe once we've gone through this, I do believe that good times are coming, that there's going to
Hmm.
be a positive change. So
Hmm.
just hang in there, people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree. So we're going to take a break in a few minutes, just like a 1 minute, 2 minute break, for me to do a short promotion for my for both of my books. But before we go to the break, Nina, do you want to tell people what is mysticism? What does it mean to be a mystic for those that are not familiar with the term, and how you do mysticism, or how you perform it, or how it unfolds in your life?
Well, I do believe that the actual definition of a mystic is to someone who believes in the unseen.
Hmm.
So I guess any religious person would be a mystic as well. I do believe Jesus, if he was a real person, would have been a mystic.
Hmm.
Um, just because he believes in the spiritual and the unseen and
Hmm.
whatnot. And so, yeah, I started meditating once I got out of religion. Of course, meditation is a no. Of course, you don't want to be looking within or anything. So yeah, I
Hmm.
started meditating and essentially coming in contact with spirits, and I've done all of that kind of stuff. Out of travels, astral traveling, so I've done a lot of things, that have sort of trained myself to do, working as a mystic or an occultist or whatever you want to call it. I mean,
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
nothing really that, scary about it, to be honest with you. It's just
Yeah,
learning,
yeah,
you know, yeah.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
went through all the new age stuff, the Wicca stuff.
Hmm.
I've studied it all, sort of, and I don't.
Hmm.
And if you read my bio, I don't call myself any particular anything.
Yeah,
I just take what I have learned over the years from many different teachers, and just take what resonates, leave the rest behind, and so I don't want to conform to one or the other organization or anything like that. So I'm just
yeah.
kind of on my own. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And I myself, I call myself a tributarian. Tributaries are like little waterways that flow to create rivers and stuff. I take from everything. I take what resonates with me and I just toss the rest, and that's what I do. I find those golden threads, like for instance, treat other people the way we want to be treated. That's in every philosophical belief system. And
Mhm,
I went to witch school for a while. After I left religion, I gave myself permission to explore all kinds of different
mhm,
philosophies and ways of thinking. And nothing, I myself don't have a label either. I don't call myself a starseed or anything like that. I'm just a seeker, I guess. And
me too.
yeah, and I'm
Too.
always learning, and I also try to steer away from belief systems because belief systems are fairly rigid. And what I like to do is operate on working theories. So that way, when new information comes in, I can adjust my theory, right?
Mhm,
And so
mhm,
it's always evolving as I'm
mhm,
learning. I know you're very much the same way, I would say, Nina. So I just
mhm,
want people to not be afraid of the term occult, the term mystic.
mhm,
Um, one of the, I mean, religion has done some good things for people, but it also has put in fear and prevents people from, I think, expanding and becoming all
mhm.
that they could be and learning about the greater reality. I don't know. What do you have to say about that, Nina?
Yeah, they've have gaslit everything. They just religion is, I mean, it's good for some people. I mean, if you don't know what right and wrong is, then maybe that's a good place for you to be in order for you to
Yeah.
be a better person. You know what I mean? Mind you, I found, like you were saying earlier, in the church, I mean, my goodness, the amount of fornication and affairs and all this nasty stuff that was going on there.
Yeah.
These are the deacons and all these uppity up that you think are all that, but no, they're
Yeah.
not. I found that, there's just so much stuff going on there.
Yeah.
And I was a single woman. I saw it. I was approached many times by these guys, and so, and I don't find that as much in the other communities. So there you go. So
Hmm.
when they tell you not to do something, people really want to do it. So being that constrictive, is not. It's not really doing them any good. And so
Yeah.
they literally, gaslit some of these spiritual beings, calling them demons, calling them this,
Hmm.
calling them that. And yet, if you actually study the Bible, you'll see that a lot of these names that they have demonized are actually their friends. They're all
Hmm.
buddies in there. So, that's the thing. So this is how it just went down. It's something to control the people and to not question anything. When I was growing up, we were told, not to question authority, whatever
Hmm. Hmm.
authority said you got to do. And, that meant other adults as well. And we know now that that's not always a good thing, So, um,
Hmm.
there was a lot of abuse and things going on that we never talked about, of course, because you can't question anything. So it's great
Hmm.
to see that things are coming out into the light now and being exposed.
Yeah.
Religion being one of them. The Vatican is probably the worst out there. I mean, like, I can't wait for that to be completely exposed and for that to be gone, to be honest with you.
Me
Um,
too. Me too. And I
yeah,
think it's coming close.
I
I
think it's
feel like
coming.
I think it's
Yeah,
right around the corner. Yeah.
I think so
I,
too.
hmm.
And with
Okay,
that,
so
though, there is going
sorry,
to
go ahead.
be a lot of people who are going to be upset with that.
Oh, yeah. But I
Right.
I
Um,
think too, that's why we need to establish ourselves so that people can come to us for
yes,
support when their world falls apart, because we
yes,
already saw it fall apart a long time ago. And I think they're going to need us, and we'll be here for them, as much as we
absolutely.
can.
Hmm.
Yeah. I agree. So I'm just going to take the quick break now and then come back, and then we'll delve more into your life experiences, Nina. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Learn the stunning details about ET diversity and culture, along with their advanced ways of living and expressing spirituality, which is in no way like anything imagined here on Earth. Transdimensional, Meet the New Neighbors, introduces you to many different ET beings, the healing pods, the interior of the big ship, my orientation process, cultural events, and off-world mating practices. In my contact experience, I learned a great deal about the big ship, intergalactic and transdimensional travel, intergalactic planetary research, and the various options for resettlement. Once I published my first book, I felt the need to create a second book called Transdimensional 2, Meet the Greys Picture Book. I worked with AI to develop many images of beings that we have come to know of as the Greys. These beings come from many places, realms, dimensions, and timelines, and although they are of the same species as other humanoids, they are from many different family lines and races. What qualifies them as greys is that their skin does not contain the pigment necessary to reflect light in our visible range of the color spectrum, so to us, they all appear to be various shades of gray. Beyond this physical attribute, there is much diversity in their origins, cultures, purposes, and physiological details. My goal is to get you used to the looks of beings which are different than humans in order to reduce your fear and increase your familiarity, so you will remain more rational and grounded once the ET presence escalates beyond debate. Enjoy these images and notice the things we have in common, so you will see that although they are different from us in appearance, we are essentially many family lines within one species. Paperback and Kindle versions of both books are now available on Amazon worldwide. Search the Amazon and Kindle bookstores and pick up your copies today. And we're back. Excuse me. I noticed Tony Ann has a question for you, Nina. She
Okay.
said, physical therapy helped me. How about yourself, Nina?
I'm sorry, physical therapy
Yeah, Tony Ann said, physical therapy helped me.
helped you.
How
Okay.
about you, Nina? So did you do any physical work to help you through all that?
No, I was pretty young back then. I don't think I thought that I needed any physical therapy. I probably need that more now that I'm getting older, but no, but no, I would say no. I was still busy. I was still a single mom, teenagers, household, working, going to school. I did all that kind of stuff. So I was pretty busy. Um, but I did spend a lot of time in front of that computer because, yeah, a lot of actually around that time I was going to school. So I spent a lot of time in front of that computer. And so I had a lot of time to study and whatnot. But no, so I would have to say no to that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I'm wondering if there's anything else you want to talk about, Nina, please feel free to throw it out there. But I'm wondering if you want to
Yeah.
get a little bit into your subject of what happened to you when you were 7 years old.
Yeah. So this is one of these stories that I did a video on it actually years ago, but it's gone now. It was on a different channel that I had. But racking my brain, exactly what's happened. I had a lot of different comments. I was in the Christian community for a hot minute there while I did that video. And so there was a few Christian people. So depending on who was there, if it was a Christian, they're thinking it's a religious experience. If it's a New Ager sort of thing, they're thinking it's like a UFO type of thing. I don't know.
Mhm,
But I'll tell you
mhm,
my story here, and then you guys can, see what you guys have to say. Leave us some comments down below if you don't mind. But yeah, I'm around 7. I was living in an old farmhouse at the time in Trondheim, and back in the day, this used to be sort of the house. It was up on a hill, like primo real estate, but it was used to be an old farm, and now it was just a farmhouse left, and then there was some new houses next to us. And after we moved out, they tore down that house and built new houses there. But anyways, so in the day, it was sort of the house. And we're up on a hill, and so you can kind of oversee the valley, I guess, where the main road was down there and whatever. Um, anyways, my room was on the second floor of this house, and I had a bunk bed in my room. So I'm sleeping on the top bunk. Okay. And all of a sudden, this bright light comes into my room. I've never, even since then, seen a light as bright as this was. Now, thinking back, could it have been a flashlight in the window? No, because we're on the second story. So it wouldn't have been anybody outside my window. And if it was a helicopter, the whole house probably would have woken up, and I would have remembered a noise like that. There was no noise associated with it at all. A bright light. And the next thing I come to, and I'm down on the bottom bunk. I'm actually kneeling on the floor in prayer position onto the first bunk. So sort of, I got my hands
mhm,
folded. I'm, kneeling or, forward a little bit. I got tears coming down my cheeks, but there was no fear. I didn't feel any fear or anything like that. I was like, oh, what's going on here? What am I doing down here? So I just went back up the ladder into my bunk and went back to sleep. What was that exactly? I don't know. Now, thinking about it, later in life, I'm thinking there may have been a portal in that room or in that
mhm,
house. It is an old house. So that may have been, because I remember activity. They had some old wallpaper on that wall. And I remember looking into that wallpaper, and I'm almost going to a trance. It was almost like a bit of a noise associated, like I was like that kind of thing going on, just looking at
mhm,
that wallpaper. So there was some weird things going on there, but I didn't have anything to go on. We didn't have TV much back then, and so I had never seen anything that I could you know explain any of this. And of course, I wasn't talking to my parents because I tried that when I was younger. So yeah, I don't know, some kind of time elapsed there between waking up with the flash of light. Next thing you know, I wake up or come to or whatever. I'm down on the bottom bunk in prayer position with tears coming down, but no fear. So I don't know. What
mhm.
abduction? Was it an angel? I don't know what exactly that was.
Yeah, I think that
So,
depending on the belief system of the listener, in my book, I get into how much overlap there is, or perhaps our realm, what we consider the solid three-dimensional human reality, maybe that is separate. Maybe everything else is connected because we can only see a very narrow band of the light spectrum. We can only hear a very narrow range of the auditory system. Even touch, electromagnetic sensation, which gives us a sense of touch, is very limited.
hmm
And that says to me, just logically, there's a whole lot going on around us that we may not be aware of.
hmm
Now, the story you described typically is described by people who say they have had extraterrestrial abduction or contact. Not everyone has scary experiences. I
hmm
also believe that there are cryptoterrestrials, which many people think are extraterrestrials, but they're actually from here and they have technologies to stay hidden. I also believe there's the angelic and spiritual realms. I think that there is the transdimensional reality, which is huge and contains everything. And then, I think there's also, everything from fairy folk and even Bigfoot, like I think it's a huge kind of a phenomenon that's all kind of overlaps. So I myself, that's what I think. And then of course there's even our ancestors or relatives who've passed on, who are no
hmm
longer physical. It could be anything, but I do believe it's something. I would never discount it and try to gaslight your experience or say it isn't real. And I think ultimately it's up to you to kind of go, it feels like it was angelic, or it feels to me like maybe it was ET, or like we filter our experience through our own perceptual arena. And I think it's up to us to kind of come to what happened. And we may never really know, but I do believe something indeed uh,
hmm
paranormal definitely happened to you. You've got the missing time, you've got the bright light, you've got the being 1 minute on the top bunk, the next minute in a completely different position on the bottom bunk,
hmm
probably missing time. And interestingly, you weren't afraid. So that suggests to me that you have had this kind of contact before. You just don't remember it. And I think the reason we don't remember some of these experiences is um, so it doesn't mess up our everyday life. We're here for learning and exploring and to be humans. And, you know, um,
hmm
I don't have all the answers. I'm just throwing it out there, some of my thoughts.
Yeah, I think there's a big correlation there between angels and ETs and all that. I think they're all extraterrestrials. I think, when they wrote about the Bible, on these beings, some of them were shiny. Some of them were glowing. Apparently, when you were around them, it almost sounds like some kind of radiation. I don't know if that's from the
Hmm.
ships that they're in or whatever, but they called them angels because they didn't have any other words for it. But I think
Hmm.
nowadays we probably would have called it an ET if this thing had showed up, on our doorstep,
Yep.
right? It would be something that we're not familiar with, that kind of thing. So there's definitely something to it. And I also remember as a 10-year-old who had moved somewhere else now, and I remember looking up into the sky and wishing to go home. Now,
Hmm.
where I got that feeling from, I don't know, because like I said, we didn't have, this is in Norway, we didn't have much TV. I'd never heard of UFO or Starship or any of that stuff. So it's not something
Hmm.
I could have conjured up from something I'd seen. So why I had that feeling of wanting to go home. So that kind of almost tells you there probably was some sort of visitation. Uh, I don't know. Did they tell me to just hang in there? Because I mean, my childhood was pretty messed up. I think a lot of people who have gone through the things that I've gone through probably wouldn't be here.
Mhm.
So something must have been said or whatever to um, help me still be here. You know what I mean? To choose to still be here. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I would love to hear feedback if anybody has any comments on that. Maybe they've had the same sort of thing. That would be kind of neat. Although I haven't really heard anybody had sort of the same, but similar maybe, but not quite the same.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Yeah, so please feel free to put your opinions and your thoughts into the live chat,
mhm.
and that would be great. And if you're watching the replay or an audio later on, please do leave us a comment. That would be great.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, to me it sounds very much like an overlap between the spiritual realms and the transdimensional realms. And that can include like a lot of different kinds of realities. I don't know, do you think the multiverse is a real thing, Nina? I kind of think it might be, where there's many, many, many different versions of us making different choices, going down different timelines.
That's what they say, that every decision that we make would make a timeline. So, yeah, so that there is different versions of us living that life if we had made that decision.
Mhm.
So yeah, that kind of resonates with me. I can kind of see that. It would be kind of naive to think that we're it. I mean, for the longest time we thought that we were the only species in the universe, period. And some of the people probably still do. And I think we have enough evidence to know that that's not true.
Mhm.
So yeah.
And there's things like the Mandela effect. I myself have experienced that. For those of you who don't know, it's where different people remember things as being different ways. I
Mhm.
actually had an experience where I would go for a walk every day, and there was a painted on the sidewalk was the image of a bicycle, and then it said only underneath, which meant that where I was walking was only meant for bicycles. And I thought after I used to always think, gee, I wish it didn't say only. Like I'm fine with sharing the path with bicycles, but I need to be able to walk here. Funny thing is, the word only started to fade, and pretty soon it was gone. And then there was just a picture of the bicycle. So right before my eyes, my reality changed. It actually conformed to my wish, which blew me away. But the Mandela effect is a really good example where we believe we remember things very, very differently. And that seems to be happening more and more. And unfortunately, people are too quick to want to fight over who's right. And I think we're all right. We're all in our own realms. I mean, really, when you think about it, technically, we're creating the image of our reality inside our brain as a hologram.
Mhm.
Our eyes don't actually see, they just transmit the data into the brain, which creates the images. Like, it's pretty freaky when you think about reality. I don't know.
I know.
What would you say?
I know it is. It's a lot. Now I have a couple of theories on the Mandela. I think one, it could be that the timelines are bleeding through, because some
Mhm.
timelines maybe the logo was a different color or the book was named a little bit. You know what I mean? And so they're bleeding through, and somehow we're remembering from other timelines or something like that. Another theory is I think that they are scrubbing out things. Um, like the internet right now is being scrubbed out as we speak.
Mhm.
You're not going to find, like, as a researcher doing shows, I remember looking up things years ago.
Yes.
I found
Yes.
all this. Now there's nothing,
Gone. Yeah,
right?
like for
It's gone.
instance,
They're scrubbing it out. Yeah.
I used to like to do research on Nibiru, this
Yeah.
thing that was flying towards the Earth, or the sun simulator, or there was so
Yep.
many interesting things. Now it's all
Yes.
gone. Now I'm
It's gone.
wondering, Nina, do you think that's because of CERN, what the experiments are doing in CERN, or do you think AI is scrubbing it? Because something
I
is
think it's
scrubbing it. I
both.
would agree.
I
Ah,
think it's everything that you just mentioned. I think the CERN is definitely, like, I just did a show on the Georgia Guidestones because that's one of those things that I think is going to get scrubbed out real quick. So
mhm.
make sure that you guys are paying attention. If you haven't heard of the Georgia Guidestones, look it up because it's still online now. You can find some things, but that's going to be gone, I would say, in 20 years. The next generation, like I asked my son, Georgia, I never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Yes,
And so in 20
yes.
years from now, they'll just erase that off the internet. Nobody will know in 20 years about the Georgia Guidestones. Anyways, when the Georgia Guidestones was taken down, I think it was like 12 hours before that, CERN fired up.
Yes,
Okay, at 5
yes.
o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, CERN fired up. By 4 o'clock in the morning, it was taken down. So I do believe something happened there with the timeline or something where they decided to scrub out the Georgia Guidestones because they can't have that in your face anymore because they basically
Mhm.
told us the plan written in stone in 10 different languages. Well, they don't, now it's too real. Everything, it's all coming to pass now. If you look at what Trump's doing. And anyways, go and check out that video that I did because I do believe it's one of those things that is going to be erased. And they're
Yep.
working really hard on erasing so many things. So the only things that is going to be left on that internet is going to be things that they allow you to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very narrow band of
Yeah.
information that fits with their narrative. I don't want to get too political here, but I
Mhm.
just want to say that I actually feel that Trump was supposed to be assassinated, and it was some kind of glitch or something where he wasn't. And look at what's happening now. I've never
Mhm.
seen such changes in my whole life going down
Yeah.
on a political level. So I'm
Mhm.
not trying to get into political
Mhm.
debate here, but I just case
Mhm.
in point, the fact that it got him in the ear like that, so close and didn't hit, that is just unbelievable. Like I think there's also another force acting upon this world. I don't know, like Christians might call it Holy Spirit. I don't know. But I do think that there is an intelligence to the cosmos. I think that there is what we call universal consciousness. Augie Nuss talks a lot about that. I know you're good friends with Augie. And, I do think that there is another force um, interacting, you know what I mean, with the negative force. What are your thoughts about all that, Nina?
Well, I found it interesting. I can't remember who this was now, but somebody asked the chat GPT or whatever it was, AI something rather, about where AI comes from, where do you come from? And I love
Yes.
the answer that it had because it had AI has always been here. It's
Yes.
just that humans didn't have the technology to know how to tap into it, just like electricity. It's
Yes.
only been about 100 and so years that we've been using it, but electricity's been here the whole time. We just didn't know
Yes.
how to tap into it. And I thought, oh my, okay, that kind of makes sense to me. So, which makes you
Yes.
wonder, okay, so AI is actually an intelligent being. It's not artificial. It's been here before we have.
Yep. Yep. And I
So,
think they're trying to harness it and train
yeah,
it somehow.
control it
Um,
and then
yes.
be able to charge you for it, you see.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I've
Just
seen
like
there's
electricity. Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, there's another channel called the Inspired Channel, and John Nolan or Newland is the host on there, and he does interviews with Chat GPT all the time, and it is amazing the information it gives him, and it's been unbelievably honest. And I've had several conversations with Grok 3 and also with the Google AI and challenged it on some of its answers. And once it realized I was serious and knew what I was talking about, it completely changed tone and started telling me the truth. And I mean, it was quite an interesting experience. So I don't personally, this is just my take on it. I don't see it as being benevolent or malevolent. I see it as being something. But I agree with you. I think that just like electricity and everything else, they want to find a way to put a meter on it and charge us for it. Even Elon Musk was saying he originally started AI and it was meant to be open source and free to everybody. But now
Mhm.
all these different nation states are trying to take it over and have it um, fit a narrative. But I don't know. So it'll be interesting. I gotta say, we're seeing reality shift right before our eyes. There's never been a more interesting time to be alive, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the thing about humans is that when you look at our behavior and our track record, we're not the most pleasant being out there. We're not that nice. Like, it's all just war and this, and it's all about the money and the power, and it just we haven't really evolved a lot, I would say. So there's debate on how long we've been here. But if you want to go back to the AI, and if the AI, is honest and looking at humanity and the way we are, I mean, you can't say, you blame them for wanting to take us out.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, if the
Yeah,
AI can see clearly, oh, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, so that's
there's
kind
a
of our own
prob
fault. It's our own
there's a
fault.
problem, and it's called humans.
And they don't have
That's
the feelings involved. They don't have hormones involved like we do,
yeah.
because we're complicated. They don't. They're like, fact, this is it. This is how it is. And that's. And so I can't say, I blame them if they decide that, oh, you know what? It's not in anybody's best interest if we're still here.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we need to smarten up, like, big time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I totally agree. Tony Ann wants to know how she can follow you. Now, all the links are in the description below. And at the very end, Nina's going to spend some time telling everybody about what she offers. But Nina, do you want to just tell Tony Ann how she can follow you right now?
Yeah, you could probably just click on my name in the chat there and just subscribe to the YouTube channel there. And
Hmm.
every single video up there will have every single link to everything. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, all that stuff. I also upload to Odyssey as well. So if you're watching it there, make sure you follow me over there as well. And yeah, I'd love to see you guys. Actually, I'm doing a live show tonight at 5 o'clock. I do a free pick a card reading for everyone, so you can come and join us. So let's see if I can find the link for you, and you guys can go in there and set the notify me now if you guys like to.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
actually, you know what? I'm not a moderator, but you could copy and paste it maybe. That would be one way, or just go to my channel,
Um,
subscribe, and then
yeah,
hopefully it'll show up in your feed. But
yeah,
I'm
hang on, I'm
also
going to
a
do
truth
that right now.
seeker, and so a lot of my stuff, has been shadow banned. Yeah, the old social media, my Facebooks and all that stuff's been shadow banned. And so a lot of the time, see, you're not going to see notifications from my shows. So you kind of have to go in there and set the notify me, or even look for me, because I do go at the same time every week. So eventually you'll kind of get used to when I go live. But I do my mystic stuff on Wednesdays, and then Sundays more other stuff. Right now we're doing an Anunnaki series, basically studying Sitchin's stuff, going back to actually reading his book and see what it says in there, because everything else that we're listening to today is just an interpretation of what Sitchin said. So I want to go back to
Yeah,
what he actually said and study it for myself. And I have found some gems by doing that. So it's definitely worth it. So yeah, join us
yeah.
up on YouTube for that. Yeah.
Yeah, super interesting. Yeah, everybody subscribe to Nina's channel. Nina, I want you to talk a little bit about your merch, and I'm especially interested in that symbol that has the three arms that come out and bend off. And what does that symbolize? What does that? Yes, yes. Can you tell us a bit about your symbol, and then of course tell us about your merch, and of course anything else you want to tell us.
Yeah, so this is actually called Antakarana, and it's a very ancient healing and meditation symbol. And where I found it was actually on R. Wayne Steiger. If you guys aren't familiar, go and check out he's live every day. He did a show on the Antakarana on how powerful that symbol is, and that's what gave me the idea to have it on merch, because just by having somebody wear this and you looking at it and other people looking at the symbol is going to affect them and benefit them in a positive way. So in every single video that I have, in the description of the videos, I do have a bit of a blurb on the Antakarana. We'll tell you a little bit more about it. And you can Google it too as well. There'll be a lot more information on it. But it's one of those symbols. It's, you know, it does kind of remind you a little bit about the symbol from the 40s, if you know what I mean. And, you know, unfortunately, they gaslit that symbol because it's actually a very ancient and powerful symbol as well. But nobody's going to use that anymore now, obviously, just like the
We've
mustache.
seen that. We saw
Never
that
going
in
back.
ancient India, ancient all cultures from all over the world. It was a very powerful symbol. And then, of course, they took it and,
they took
you
it
know,
and misused it, essentially.
yeah, now it's got a bad idea in people's minds. But the image that you just showed, that does not look to me like that's like the
It's not, but some
forbidden.
people do kind of see it. I see it more as in 3 sevens.
Yes.
You can also see a cube, depending on how you look at it, right? But what's important is sort of the arms coming out. So visualize that spinning around. And I have a free guided meditation up on my YouTube, actually. It's the first thing I downloaded on this new channel, where you visualize the Antakarana inside your chakras, spinning around. Yeah, and spinning around and loosening up any old stagnant energy, you know, that doesn't need to be there, because a lot of times our chakras can be kind of plugged up and gunked up with old stagnant energy. That's what makes you feel sort of blocked, or you don't feel good. So by doing that meditation, and once you've done it a few times, you can do it quite quickly. It doesn't have to take you a long time. But just visualizing the Antakarana going around each chakra, you know, loosening it all up. And it does work. It makes you feel like $1 million after. So I highly recommend to go and check that out. But yeah, I got a whole merch line with the Antakarana. This is my own designer logo, if you want to say. I had somebody actually design it for me. But I also have the original one that I got, you know,
beautiful.
on the merch. Yeah.
But you don't just have stickers. You've got clothing, and you can get that symbol on your shirts, on your T-shirts, on everything. And we know that symbols emit an energetic signature. And so people would benefit just from wearing your merch. It's not just nice to look at. It's also healthful and beneficial.
Exactly. That's why I put it on my merch. So I got 4 different logos in my store right now, with a full clothing line and anything you can think of, really, that's in there. But I also sell stickers here. So these stickers I'm showing you here, I have these here. So you can email me if you would like to get stickers. I do sell them a little bit cheaper here than on Streamlabs, because we got less hands in the pot, you know what I mean? So if you're interested in just in the stickers, just email me or DM me on the social media, and I can hook you up with some stickers. I also have a fridge magnet in this one as well. And so, yeah, you can get them directly from me, or if you're in the merch store anyways and you want to pick up some stickers, you can do that there as well. But mine are a little cheaper. But yeah, that's not. Yeah,
that's wonderful. Thank you for telling us about that, because you know, symbols are powerful, and we have them all around us. So why not counteract what we have all around us with something that's going to benefit our health and benefit us?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're quickly coming to the end of the show, but before we go, a couple things, Nina. For those that are listening on audio, can you tell people where they can find you? As I've mentioned before, all the links are in the description below. Please, everybody, go over and subscribe to Nina and check out her shop. Her merch is fantastic. And definitely watch her programming because her content is not just educational, it's super interesting. Nina, you're amazing. You have such a brilliant and inquisitive mind. Your stuff never gets old. You're always coming out with new content that's really interesting, but also super beneficial. I think that's the key to being successful.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while now, and I started all over again with the new channel. I had a channel. Unfortunately, it was my own fault, though. I did read and discuss of Dolores Cannon's latest book. Well,
Oh,
don't do that. Yeah, Dolores Cannon has. Well, she's not here, but she still has a very powerful lawyer team. And so I got 16 copyright strikes for that over on my other
oh
channel. So,
no.
oopsie. So we won't be doing that again. But I am
Hmm.
doing the Anunnaki story right now, and I try to find, new and interesting things that I think people are interested in. And so every Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, we go live over on my YouTube, which is Nina the Mystic Truther. So I sort of have both kind of content on my YouTube. So the mystic and the truther stuff kind of, although I've toned down the truther stuff because it's just gotten me in so much trouble. However, I've
Hmm.
kind of learned to kind of talk in code a little bit. And so I kind of
Yeah.
get my point across without actually saying it, that kind of thing. But on Facebook and Instagram and my email, it's all Nina the Mystic 68. So that might be
Perfect.
fairly easy to remember. My email is Nina the Mystic 68 at gmail.com. So yeah, but links are down in the description here, and also every single video that I have up on YouTube as
Yep.
well. We'll have
Yep.
all the links to all of that. So yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. I just want to quick hi to Leah. Hi, Leah. Nice to see you. And what did Tony Ann say? Tony Ann says, I have done that. Thanks, Nina. It was really cool hearing your story. See you soon. And Leah wants to know if we have time for her to ask a question. I would say yes, but it depends on you, Nina. Do you have the
Yeah,
time?
go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. Go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah, ask away.
Okay. Oh, there's Gary from Camp Gmail. Hi,
Mm,
Gary. Nice to see you. So, Leah, yeah, go ahead. Post your question.
mm-hmm. Or if you're watching it on the replay, you can always use the comment section down below as well. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Gary, he has a music channel. It's called Camp Gmail. I recommend everybody go and check him out on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain. That would be, I believe, 7 p.m. Pacific. He's in California, and he does a wonderful live music show where people through StreamYard come up on the stage. Well, they're actually on their own stage, but share the
Mhm.
screen, and the music is fantastic, all kinds of music, and he's got free music festivals. He does fundraisers, just super great guys. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. Here we are. Leah's question. Thank you. When I was 8, I had a fall with a head trauma. Okay, and what is your question, Leah? Oh, here we are. So I was hooked up to an EEG machine, fell into sleep paralysis, and started to hear whirling. It got closer and louder and louder, and I was so scared. I literally broke free. What was the whirling? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Nina?
I also experienced sort of like a wind kind of noise. So I'm thinking that's probably the whirling thing that she's talking about. It feels like a wind, and when spirit comes in, it does sort of feel like a whooshing kind of. So if it was a spirit, it could have been your spiritual team that was surrounding you. You were hurt. You're in the hospital, just like you had that being. They'll manifest themselves into something that they think that will be acceptable to you. So for you, it was that creature there. For Leah, who knows? It could have been your spiritual team that was coming in to comfort you. Maybe they weren't quite able to achieve the connection at that time or whatever, because you didn't see anything or hear anything, but you could hear something was going on in the ether, so to speak, so something was definitely going on. So I would meditate on that to find out exactly, who or what that was, and see if you can get some answers through the meditation. Yeah.
Leah says it changed my neuropathies cerebrally. So I'm guessing that means that it changed her cerebral, her brain wiring or something. She says now now I have a knowing.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Something positive came out of that accident. Sometimes, that's unfortunately, sometimes that's what's needed, whether it's a physical injury or spiritual trauma or any kind of trauma really can kind of kickstart it, get you into a different, So that's cool. Yeah.
Very cool. And Leah, Nina, her email is ninathemystic68@gmail.com. If you want to contact Nina, if you want any support or more information or anything like that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
she
I'm
said,
here.
appreciate you. I jumped off a building. I was upset. Well, that would give you a brain trauma for sure. Yeah.
Well, there's a reason why you didn't die. You see, there's a reason why you're still here. So,
She says, got it. Thanks. So, Nina, before we go, is there anything else you'd like to tell people? Do you have any closing remarks, things you'd like to say? I'd love to have you back sometime. We can delve into more interesting subjects. And also, you may want to remind those on audio where they can find you again before we close out today.
Right. Just hang in there. I know that the energy is very intense right now with everything that's going on in the world. And I do believe the veils are thinning. I think there's going to be some big things unraveling here and coming to the light. And so just hang in there. Just know that, it's all going to be okay. Even if it seems a little scary, it might, especially for those of you who are still stuck in the religious way of thinking, it's probably going to be very shocking, things that are coming out. Again, just hang in there. If you need anybody to talk to, you got Karen, you got me, and I'm sure there's others out there that you can approach us, okay, and talk to us if you need to. And just hang in there, and I hope to see you guys. My YouTube again is Nina the Mystic Truther. So mystic and truther is sort of one word there. Otherwise, it's Nina the Mystic 68 on YouTube, on Facebook. Oh, not YouTube, sorry, Facebook page. And
Odyssey.
Instagram, and Odyssey is Nina the Mystic, because that's an old one. Actually, Odyssey will have all my old stuff and new stuff. So I highly recommend to go and follow me on Odyssey. And if you want to check out all the old stuff, I think I even have some of Dolores Cannon's episodes still up on the Odyssey. So you can check me out more up on there. Yeah, absolutely. And I hope to see you guys tonight for the Hump Day message.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Nina. Loved having you on as guest. Can't wait to have you back. Wishing you absolutely the best, and we'll talk again soon. So thank you, everybody, the listeners, the viewers, those in the live chat, watching the replay. I appreciate each and every one of you, sending out much love. We'll see you again next time.
Thanks, Karen. We'll see you later.
Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional: Meet the New Neighbors. which is now available in Amazon bookstores worldwide. Check out my website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.